Hi, this is A. Wesley. That ain't who tells it like the Chi is. If you like my video, please don't make a subscribe. Between my birthday and Thanksgiving, a lot had went on, and I was kind of tired, so I took a few days out. So I'm back now. And the topic I'm going to talk to you today about is the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, season 6, episode 10, 11. Episode 10 is running out of gas, and 11 is below, above deck and below deck. Uh, Episode 10 started off with Heather in her kitchen, FaceTiming Angie, and she asked Angie what was going on. Had she heard from any of the girls? And Angie said no, she hadn't heard from any of the girls since the last event that they had and stuff like that. And she was saying that Lisa don't know how to take accountability. Lisa don't want to take accountability for the things that she do. And I had to say, yeah, that's right, that's right. We have to call her out on. We have to call her out on her stuff. We have to call her out on her stuff. And I agree with you that Lisa don't know how to take accountability and stuff like they say. Well, Angie, have you heard from Mary yet? She said, no, I haven't heard from Mary. She said, I tried to call Mary, but Mary wouldn't answer my call. She said, hopefully me and Mary can work things out. And I was saying to myself, work things out. You the one talk to Mary like you the one talk to Mary like you didn't have no sense or nothing like that. I say, so that's on you, Angie. And then switch to the next scene. And the next scene was Lisa having lunch with her husband John, and she was telling John that at the last event, at Whitney's event, that psychic told her that her and John was on a different path, and she said, and I told the psychic that he was so right, and then John said, wait a minute. What do you mean we're on a different path? He said every time I try to give you an idea for our business or something, you shoot it down. You say, no, we don't need to do that. We don't need to do that. He said, look at you, Lisa. You on your phone scrolling, texting. You're not even paying attention to me. You're not even listening. That's why I be telling you don't listen. She said, John, I'm a mother. I have these kids and all this stuff. Look at girl. One of your sons is out on some kind of Mormon retreat. I say, and the other one's going to college. You ain't got no little big kids no more. Anyway, and then what he said, that's what I'm talking about. She said, yeah, Brooks is supposed to come back home from where he's at, and Henry wants to move back in temporarily. And when I told it to you, you said no. You said no. He said no. Brooks can come and visit for a couple of days, but he don't have to stay with us. And Henry don't have to move back in up with us. Henry is grown. Henry need to move out. I was saying that's the difference between Simone. Simone want her kids to move out, and her husband is just like Lisa's husband wants them kids to stay up for a long time until they get on their feet. And I'm looking at if you 24 to 30, you need to be out of your parents' house, or if you staying with your parents or somebody, you need to be helping them out on their bills and stuff. But anyway, get back to him and stuff. And she said, that's why. And then John just kind of looked and said, Lisa, that's why I keep telling you that. And Lisa don't like to listen to nobody. And John was right when he said that Lisa only wants to be right, and she don't want to be wrong, and she don't want nobody telling her nothing. There's a lot of people like that. They think everything they do and say is right when it's not, is wrong. They switch it back to the next scene, and the next scene was Angie getting everything ready, fixing up everything for her and Mary to come. And then Mary ring the doorbell, and she said, "Oh, this is the first time you ring the doorbell, open the door for me." She said, "Normally when I come over here, I just let my own self in." She said, oh Mary." Say, "Mary, I got your favorite soda. Your favorite soda you like." Mary looked at that and said, "Ooh, this got too much sugar in it and stuff. Too much sugar, too much carbohydrates. I ain't gonna drink that. You don't need to be drinking that either." She said, "Okay, okay." He said, "Man, I feel like I need to be giving you something to drink, eating you something." He said, "You don't need to be giving me nothing to be nothing to eat. I don't want nothing to eat. I came here to talk." And then some, and then some she was in her kitchen putting the soda water back. She said, Mary, I don't feel like being like walking on eggshells. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells around you. And in a confessional, Angie talking about she feel like she's back in high school going to the principal's office. And I said, yeah, because you know you did wrong. People know what they did wrong, and they feel guilty about it. They get all shameful and try to act all nice. But anyway, she said, Mary, she said, Mary, I'm sorry for what I did if I hurt your feelings. Mary said, you did hurt my feelings. Mary said, you just so out of it. You don't want to listen to nobody and stuff. And I tried to get you to listen. I tried to get you to listen, but Lisa had you so upset that you don't want to listen to nobody. He said, I keep telling you, don't never let nobody get you that upset when you be out of, when you be out of your, I said out of character. He said, you be out of yourself. Say you were so out of it, you didn't even know how you snapped at her, how you did me. Say, Mary, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you and stuff. Do like that. You know, I would never do like that. And Mary said, you know, Mary, we're sisters. Mary said, don't play that with me. Play that with somebody else. And I said, I don't blame you, Mary. You can't do somebody bad and then tell them how to feel about it and stuff like that. And so she said, she said, if I make you feel any way or any kind of bad, Mary said, you know me. You know, I'm not easily to trust because I have abandonment issues, you know, with my family and stuff. She said, but when I do want to be friends with somebody and I do trust somebody, I really do love that person. And they showed in the confessional when Mary was kind of crying when she was talking about with the producer. And then so she said, she said, Mary, I didn't reach out. And Mary said, yeah. She said, when I love somebody and care for somebody, I want them to succeed. I want them to do the best. I want them to thrive. She said, but if I feel that you're not being my real good friend, then she said in her confession, she said, if I feel like you ain't my friend and stuff, well then I put you right out of my mind. I won't even think about you anymore. And so he said, Mary, I'm sorry. And Mary said, don't let it happen again. She said, I won't. And they said, oh, okay, Mary. And then Mary said, you hurt my feelings. How you hurt me? She said, you talked about me in my fort. She said, but Mary, you told me and Barbara we had gas. She said, yeah, I told you we had gas. And Mary said, you know, I'm a clean person. I'm a clean person. You know, you thought it was me that was for it, and that was your dog. Your dog was the one for it, and it wasn't me. I wasn't there. I don't know. Now, it depends on what you eat. If you eat stuff that's not real good, then you might have one that not smell. But if you eat something that they ain't agree with you, and you have upset stomach, that stuff sure will smell. I'll put it like that. And so, and so, uh, and so she said, "Well, Mary, I'm sorry, but you did say, she said, yeah, I had gas, but you act like I had something else." She said, "You go tell bro when I need celery." She said, "Well, Mary, I'm sorry." And Mary said, "Okay." And then they got the hooking out. And then Mary said, "I really came over here to tear you up." She said, "But what it is, I'm glad we talked about it and got it. I was glad they talked about it too, but I'm so glad Mary didn't backpedal and held Angie accountable because Angie was kind of out of control on that last episode. But anyway, let's switch to the next scene. And the next scene was Broadway talking to Todd, and she was telling Todd about what the psychic said and what had happened. And the psychic told her about, it's a friendship that she really, really wants, but she need to work on. And Todd was saying, yeah, I don't know why you keep wanting to work on this relationship with Lisa. All the stuff that Lisa has said about you back in the past and what she's saying about you. She said, well, Todd, I've been knowing, she said, you know Lisa for a little while, but not a whole lot of years. He said, if it was me, I wouldn't want to have nothing to do with her, brother. She said, but I still want to keep the relationship open. I still want to see if I can work it out. I still want to try. He said, I don't understand you, brother. And I said to myself, I have to agree with Tara that I don't understand, brother. Robin has this, I guess, because her mama, the way I saw her mama on the last couple of episodes, the way her mama was talking about, I think Robin wants to get approval from any and everybody that she can. And then they moved on to the next subject. And the next subject was Brittany going to meet up with her daughter, and they was having coffee. And she was saying her and her daughter been having a strained relationship. I think her daughter's name is Beause or Bina or something like that. Anyway, she got to the coffee house and said, "Oh, how you doing? You want some coffee? I ordered your special coffee." She said, "I don't want no coffee." She said, "Well, and I was so glad that Brittany's daughter did the same thing Mary did. She wanted to get right to the point, and I don't like when people know they did something wrong. They try to do these what they call it they call it these they try to get not confessional, but they try to be very polite and try to be very polite and try to maybe like, try to sugarcoat stuff, be very polite, and people want to get right down to the point. But she said, yeah. She said, you know, man, you a good mother, Brittany, you a good mother. She said you was a good mother to us until after you got divorced from my dad. She said you still was a good mother. And we did a lot of stuff together. She said, but then when you remarried, that's when you kind of separated yourself from me and my sister. And she was saying, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean. She said, yeah, you. She said, yeah, you abandoned us for a man. She said, what I'm trying to do is, I'm just trying to give y'all I was just trying to give y'all the family life that I had, the family life that I had. She said, but you turned, but you chose a man or what? She said, I'll never do that again. She said, and then when you got divorced from him, you wound up going with this Jared guy. What's going on with that? She said, well, me and Jared, we together now. She said, I'm tired of you and Jared with this off and on relationship. And I said, ooh, you ain't never lied, Brittany's daughter. All this back and forth, back and forth. And so she said, well, I'm going to try to do better. I'm going to try to do better. She said, well, I hope so. She said, but I do want to work on our relationship. And then I switched to the next scene. And then the next scene was Broadway and Todd having lunch again and she was saying, Todd, I know all this stuff, all this scandal that came out affected not only me but it affected you and my job, and that was like almost a decade ago. And he said, I understand. She said, back then I was a single mother. I was trying to go to college and trying to work and stuff like that, and I didn't pay the last two mortgage payments on that condo, and I left without paying. And then that was on my record. And then this stuff with this business that had nothing to do with me. It had nothing to do with me. And what it was, the case was sealed, and there was nothing going on. He said, I understand all that. Boy, when he said, but you know I don't like to be in a bunch of stuff. He said, but I'm gonna stick by you as much as I can. She said, I know. And she said, I hate that this came out because Lisa and the girls. He said, why are you concerned about Lisa? He said, when I'm just saying when it come out, Lisa and the girls gonna have something to say to it, especially Lisa. He said, I told you about Lisa, and then that was the end of episode 10. Let me pause this video and get some water, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Uh, Episode 11 started off with the ladies arriving at the airport to to fly over see the boat, and Whitney was the first to come. And then Whitney was first to come, then Heather, then Brittany, then Angie, and then I think Heather said she said where is Broadway? And Whitney said, well, I have a text from Broadway saying that she don't know if she's coming now because she missed her plane. She might miss her plane. So in confessional, Whitney said, whether she comes or not, we're going to talk about a situation. If we come, if she comes, we talk about a situation. If she doesn't come, we're going to talk about a situation. And then Angie showed up too, and Angie looked around and said, where's Mary? Where is Mary? And Heather said, oh, there she is right there. She is right there. She said, come on, Mary, come on, Mary. Mary had all the packages that came on. And they said, yeah, Barbara said she's going to meet us later. And then so they flew to the site and they said, ooh, we're going to whatever it was, West Covina, whatever it was, I can't remember. But anyway, they all got up and they met Captain Jason. And Captain Jason said, hey, how you doing? And he had to say in the confession, yeah, I met Captain Jason on a boat trip that me and Whitney went on about 2 years ago. And we became fast friends, fast friends. I said, okay, Heather. And then so after that, and he said, "Yeah, welcome to the ship. This is a big old ship." They started showing all of the fishes up under the sea, up under the boat, and all that kind of stuff. And then so he said, "Yeah, I'm gonna be your captain, and these are gonna be y'all the waiters and hostesses and stuff." So he showed them to the thing, and the lady said, "Would y'all like something to drink?" And they all got something to drink. They said, "What do you want to drink?" They said, "We drink the tequila, tequila." And then Lisa said, well, I normally don't drink other people's tequila, but I'm gonna do it this time. But next time, I'm gonna be drinking my own tequila. Y'all want my tequila? I say every time they go on a trip, Lisa's trying to sell like a tequila to somebody. And so I said, she get on my nerves with that. And then so the hostess said, well, I'm gonna show y'all rooms. They show me the room, and they said, well, uh, Angie and Mary gonna be in the room. Lisa and Merritt gonna be in the room, and Heather and Whitney gonna be in the room, and Broadway and Brittany gonna be in the room. And Brittany said, "Oh no, Broadway, how's me and Broadway gonna be in this little cooped up place together? Broadway don't like me." I said, honey child, you better be glad you was in the room with Broadway because if they would put you with Mary, Mary sure would have slept in that room. But anyway, they liked the little rooms and stuff. And they were saying, yeah, we're gonna go and freshen up so we can have breakfast and go swimming. So they went freshen up and they went and got and swimming and Mary was on top of deck with Broadway and she said, oh, this look good, this look nice. And said, you come on, let's go swimming, let's go swimming. And then so, and then so Mary said, I ain't going no swimming. So they all went swimming. And right before that, Mary had told Angie, said, Angie, you all right? Angie kept running the bathroom, throwing in the room. She said, no, I'm not all right. She said, you sure you're all right? She said, yeah, I'm all right now. So they went out swimming. Angie had on her bathing suit, all man bathing suit. And Angie fell off the little float that they had. They had to hurry and get back on. And then Mary said, "Oh, is Angie all right? Angie don't look good. She looks sick." And Brown said, "She sure do." So they brought her back in. And they said, we're gonna bring her back in. So they brought her back in and said, "Are you all right?" She said, "No, no, I'm not all right." And so they put Angie in the bed. And Angie was telling Mary that she's seasick. And Mary said, "No, I ain't never been seasick." And so and so, uh, and so after the breakfast, they said they was gonna have dinner, and that was the best part of really me, the dinner. And so what happened? The captain walked in. He said, "Well, Mary, since you don't eat shrimp, we got some kind of fish that you can eat or whatever." And she said, "Okay, okay." And she said, "You sure you all right?" And she said, "I thought I was all right, Mary, but I ain't all right." And Mary said, go get the captain, go get the captain." The captain said, "What's going on?" He said, "She not feeling real good." So the captain iced Angie down, did her stuff. So they all went to their dinner. And they were saying, well, how we gonna get fixed up in the little room with makeup? That's what Whitney was saying. She said, it's gonna take me a little bit longer. So they all went out there and they all went to dinner. And so, she said, she said, she said, you know that I know what everybody want to talk about. And Broadway said, yeah, that did happen to me. I'm going to own what I did. I did not pay a rent on the condo. I was a single mother. I was working. That did happen. And then Lisa said, what about the other allegations? The other allegations about fraud and all this other stuff. And Whitney said, yeah, that's what I heard about the fraud part. That's the first part I heard. And then she said, that was over a decade ago, 10 years ago. And then Heather gonna say, no, those fraud charges are like from 2021, 2022. She said that had something to do with a business deal. She said, but I had nothing to do with that. She said that was a partner who I had a business deal with who did all that stuff. And he said, and she said, why come can't nobody find out nothing about your name on it? But the other people, man, she said because the records have been sealed, the record has been sealed. And she said certain stuff that I can't even talk about to y'all. And she said that's it, Helen. And she said there was no fraud charge against me, and you can't find no work because not against me and stuff. And so they was all looking kind of funny. And she was saying, it seems like right after I said that, and right after I said that, somebody had put this out. Somebody had put this out about me, and right after I said something about somebody else. So I'm not saying who put it out, but I'm just saying it just seems pretty strange, pretty strange. And then here's them. Who do you think put it out? Who do you think put it out? Do you think it's somebody in the group? And then Winnie said, "Yeah, who do you think it is in the group?" She said it got to be somebody in the group because the only other people that know this information besides me and Todd, I told some people in the group. That's what Brian was saying. Next thing you know, Lisa gonna tell me, well, who do you think it is? Say who you think it is. And she said, well, I really don't know. I don't have any evidence. So I really don't just like to be throwing out people's names like this. Lisa said, come on, come on. And then in the confession, Whitney said, ooh, Didn't nobody call your name B? I mean blank. And she said, well, that proves that you the one did it. And Heather said, ooh, listen, you just giving yourself away, you just giving yourself away. Nobody called your name. And then she found said, well, Lisa, I think you did it. She said, huh? What do you mean you think I did it? She said, yeah, because you dug up stuff on you dug up stuff on Heather and Mary and Whitney and all these other people in the group. And it's like since me and you been having our little issues, there's certain stuff has been leaking and coming out about me. She said, I haven't leaked nothing about you. She said, but you did research stuff on Brittany and other people. And she said, yeah, I did research, but I can't help it. Got people tell me stuff. People tell me stuff. I said, at least you are sitting up lying. You know, you research the people and Google them people and use that evidence against them to make them feel bad because everybody's on your back. You say, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Heather said, yes, you did do it. And then so with Helen brought she said, Mary, you was in the room with me and Whitney when I told you what Brown had said, and you said you didn't have any proof or any evidence of it was Lisa, but you know Lisa had been doing stuff for years, and I told you about she did you. She said, well, like I said, I didn't have any evidence, I didn't have any proof. That's Mary, like I even talk about. So that's why I said I'm not gonna be in it, and y'all shouldn't be doing this to Lisa. And they kept on, and then they kept on arguing. That's when Heather talking about. She told Heather, "That's why I can't be friends with you. Be friends with me. I'm loyal. I've been loyal to you, Lisa. You the one that don't want they want to hide your hand and they want to say what you did. You want to take accountability for it. Heather got the fussing. Heather got the walking behind her, and Lisa, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this. She got the crying. And then Brittany said, ooh, I got a call from Jared. She said, Jared. She said, I thought she was done talking to Jared no more. And then she said, yeah. And then she said, what's going on? He said, I'm not doing it. Then the captain said, ooh, I started eating dinner with them and they were arguing and fussing. And then said, yeah, they arguing and fussing. And Mary said, did you, when you came back with food, said, did you calm them down? I heard them all right here. She said, no, I ain't coming down. And she said, if you can't be my friends with me and you can't be honest, then I won't be friends with you. Next thing I know, helicopter flying in the room. Angie, it was real bad. It happened real bad. And Mary said, "What's going on? What's going on?" She said, I thought Mary was on my side. Mary was on my side. Mary was on Lisa's side, and we was trying to tell Lisa that she needs to come clean. If she needs to come clean, if she talked that stuff about Broadway and stuff like that. And Mary said, you know how Lisa is. Y'all just gone something. I said, Lisa gonna always do that. And then next thing you know, Brittany went to try to talk to Lisa. Lisa talking about she won't talk to nobody. She was crying on the phone to her husband Gerald. That was the end of 11. I'll probably do 12 or 13 on next video. That's all I have for this video. This is A. Wesley. That ain't even tells it like a TI is. I am out.